The message arrived just as I was finalizing the wedding menu with my mother. "You'll never outshine me," it read. "I told you years ago that I'd always be first. Enjoy watching from the sidelines." I stared at my phone, my fingers hovering over the screen. The words blurred momentarily before snapping into sharp focus. She had done it. Emily, my childhood best friend, had stolen my fiancé. Not just him, but my venue, my wedding date, the floral arrangements, everything I had meticulously chosen over months. It was supposed to be my wedding day in 4 weeks, but now it would be hers. I didn't react outwardly, keeping the shock from showing on my face. My mother, seated across from me with a folder of catering options, glanced up. "Everything okay, sweetheart?" she asked. I met her gaze and smiled. "Absolutely," I replied. She returned to her notes, unaware of the turmoil inside me. My world had just shattered. Looking back, the warning signs were clear. Emily had always been competitive, not in a way that inspired others to improve, but in a way that demanded someone else's loss for her to win. This behavior started in childhood, the need to have the best grades, the most attention, the perfect image. But I never thought she'd go this far. I should have noticed the shift months ago when Emily suddenly became overly interested in my wedding planning. She offered to help pick the venue and insisted on coming to dress fittings, gushing over every detail with an enthusiasm that, in hindsight, felt too eager. And then there was the way she looked at Daniel. It wasn't obvious at first, just a lingering glance here, a playful touch there, the kind of thing that could be dismissed as harmless until it wasn't. 2 weeks ago, Daniel had been distant. He canceled date nights, avoided talking about the wedding, and spent more time at work. I thought it was just pre-wedding jitters. Then he disappeared. No explanation, no breakup conversation, just silence. I called him, no answer. I texted him, nothing. And now here was Emily, gloating. I should have felt angry, devastated, humiliated. Instead, I felt calm. Emily thought she had won, that she had stolen my life, my future, my happiness. What she didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that I never lose. While she was celebrating her stolen engagement I had been planning, I took a slow breath, steadying myself before typing my response. Enjoy. A short, simple word that would mean nothing to her in this moment, but in 4 weeks, on her wedding day, she would understand exactly what I meant. I tucked my phone away and picked up a catering brochure. My mother continued chatting about entrees, blissfully unaware that everything had changed. Emily had taken everything from me. Now it was my turn, and I wouldn't need to steal anything. I just had to let her own choices destroy her. The days that followed Emily's message were eerily quiet. Daniel never reached out. Emily never gloated again. It was as if, in her mind, I had already faded into irrelevance, the woman who lost. But what she didn't realize was that I wasn't broken. I was waiting. I didn't cry. I didn't lash out. I didn't let anyone see even the slightest crack in my composure. Instead, I did exactly what Emily expected me to do. Nothing. Because revenge doesn't always require action. Sometimes the best way to destroy someone is to let them walk straight into their own disaster. And Emily, she had no idea she was about to step into mine. A week later, I received an invitation, a beautiful gold-embossed envelope hand-delivered to my door. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Emily's. I slid my finger under the seal and unfolded the thick invitation card. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Emily Carter and Daniel Wright, to be held on the 14th of June at the Magnolia Estate. My venue, my date, my wedding. She had the audacity to invite me. The arrogance was astounding. The sheer pettiness of it made me almost laugh. And that was when I knew I had won before the battle even started. Because only insecure people need an audience for their victories, Emily wanted me there not to celebrate but to watch. She needed to see my pain, to revel in my humiliation. But I wasn't going to give her that. Instead, I RSVP'd, wouldn't miss it. Can't wait to see everyone there. Because what she hadn't considered was the guest list. The Magnolia Estate required every wedding party to submit a final guest list confirmation 3 weeks before the event. Since Emily had stolen everything last minute, She had simply taken over my existing reservation. This meant she had never actually changed the guest list, and neither had I. Every person on that list, my people, my family, my childhood friends, my coworkers, even Daniel's parents who adored me, was truly on her side. And in just a few short weeks, she would realize her mistake. Because nothing ruins a bride's big day quite like realizing every single guest in the room is secretly rooting for someone else. The final proof that Emily was blind to her own downfall came the day of her dress fitting. A mutual friend, Hannah, invited me for coffee that morning. Her expression was carefully neutral. "You heard about Emily's dress appointment today, right?" she asked, stirring her latte slowly. I nodded, sipping my tea. "Yes, I heard. She invited a few of us to join." "How generous of her," I said smoothly. Hannah hesitated. Then in a whisper, she said, "She was wearing your dress." I didn't flinch. I didn't react at all, because of course she was. She had taken everything else. Why wouldn't she wear the very dress I had picked out for myself? But the difference between us was that I didn't need a dress to be the main event. Emily thought she was center stage. She had no idea she was just another actress in my story, and in 3 weeks she would find out. The morning of June 14th was bright and warm, the kind of perfect summer day brides dream of. Emily must have felt untouchable as she got ready, surrounded by hairdressers and makeup artists, basking in the glow of what she thought was her victory. She had stolen my wedding, my fiancé, my venue, everything I had spent months planning. But what she didn't realize was that this day was never hers to take. It was always mine. And now it was time for the final act. I arrived early, stepping out of my car just as the first guests began trickling in. The estate was stunning, exactly as I had imagined it when I booked it nearly a year ago. The floral arch, the elegant white chairs, the candlelit reception hall, all my choices. Emily had kept everything except the one thing she should have changed. I watched as the first few guests approached the check-in table. Friends I had known for years, family members who had supported me through everything. I could see their hesitation, their glances at the wedding program with Emily and Daniel's names printed in gold. Whispers started almost immediately. "Isn't this supposed to be her wedding?" They took her venue and her date. The murmur spread like wildfire. Then Daniel's parents arrived. His mother, Linda, had never been subtle about her dislike of Emily. She had always adored me, always said I was the kind of woman Daniel needed. Level-headed, kind, strong. As soon as she saw me standing there, composed and smiling, something shifted in her expression. "Sweetheart," she said, taking my hands, "what are you doing here?" I tilted my head slightly. "I was invited," I replied. Her mouth parted in surprise before her gaze hardened. She turned toward the check-in table, her voice carrying through the courtyard. "Where is my son?" Silence fell over the guests. It had begun. Inside the bridal suite, Emily was sipping champagne, surrounded by her bridesmaids, or what was left of them. A few of them had already texted me quiet apologies for being part of this mess, but I didn't need their loyalty. I had patience. As she checked her phone, she finally noticed the messages pouring in. "Hannah, Emily, did you know that 90% of your guests are her family and friends?" "Megan, you invited Daniel's parents, right? They don't look happy." And then from Daniel himself, "We need to talk. Now." Emily's champagne flute slipped in her hand, sloshing over her silk robe. "What the hell?" she muttered. Outside, Daniel was pacing near the altar, running his hands through his hair. Something was off. He had expected happiness, celebration, excitement. Instead, he was surrounded by awkward silences and pointed stares. His best man, Matt, pulled him aside. "Dude, did you even look at the guest list?" Matt whispered. "This isn't a wedding. It's an execution." Daniel frowned. "What are you talking about?" Matt handed him the printed guest list. Daniel scanned the names, recognition dawning slowly, then horror. "These are all her people," he said, his throat going dry. Emily had been so obsessed with taking my wedding that she hadn't bothered to make it her own. She had walked straight into my world, my circle, my legacy. Daniel looked around again, realizing that no one was truly there for them. The guests weren't celebrating. They were watching, waiting. And then he saw me, standing near the back in an elegant dress, calm and collected. He swallowed hard. "She came," he said. "She RSVP'd," Matt reminded him. Emily was too busy being smug to question it. Daniel suddenly felt suffocated. Had this been a mistake? Had he been played? His stomach twisted. He needed to see Emily now. Daniel stormed into the bridal suite without knocking. Emily turned, her eyes flashing with anger and nerves. "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to see me before. Did you even look at the guest list?" He cut her off, his voice sharp. Emily blinked. "What?" He shoved the paper into her hands. "They're here for her, Emily, not us." She skimmed the names, her fingers tightening around the edges, her face drained of color. She had been so focused on stealing my wedding that she hadn't realized she had stolen my audience too. Panic flickered across her face. This wasn't her moment. It was mine. Who cares? She forced a laugh. It's still our wedding. They'll celebrate for us. Daniel didn't look convinced, because now he understood. The stolen wedding, the forced engagement, the guests who weren't really their guests. It hit him all at once. He had been a pawn in her game. Emily reached for him, but he stepped back. "I need a minute," he muttered. She watched, speechless, as he walked out. And in the silence that followed, Emily finally realized she might be wearing the dress, but I was the one in control. As the ceremony time approached, Emily stood near, the grand doors of the estate clutching her bouquet too tightly. Guests whispered, exchanging glances. Daniel hadn't returned. Her perfect day was crumbling before it even began. And as I sat sipping my champagne, watching it unfold, I thought, back to her message weeks ago, "You'll never outshine me." "Oh, Emily, I never needed to. I just had to let you fall into your own trap." The minutes ticked by, slow and suffocating. Guests shuffled awkwardly in their seats, their whispers growing louder. The ceremony was supposed to start 20 minutes ago, but there was no groom at the altar, no music, no Emily. She was still inside, standing near the grand doors, her grip on the bouquet so tight that her knuckles had turned white. Daniel hadn't returned. Her perfectly stolen wedding was falling apart before it even began, and I was exactly where I needed to be, watching. Emily's maid of honor, Lauren, hesitantly approached her. "Emily, maybe we should—" "No." Emily's voice was sharp, panicked. "He's just nervous. He'll be back." Lauren bit her lip. "It's been nearly half an hour, Emily." Emily turned, her breath uneven. "He'll come." But even she wasn't convinced anymore. The guests knew. Daniel's mother knew. I knew. And most importantly, Daniel knew. He had finally seen through her. While Emily stood frozen inside, Daniel was outside, pacing near the estate's fountain, his tuxedo jacket unbuttoned, his tie loosened. His father stood beside him, arms crossed. "This is a disaster," Daniel muttered, running a hand through his hair. His father exhaled. "No, son. This is a lesson." Daniel frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" His father's gaze was firm. "You left a strong, intelligent woman for a childish game of one-upmanship. And now you're realizing what everyone else saw months ago." Daniel swallowed hard. "I don't—" "Look around, Daniel," his father interrupted. "Do you see a single person here that's actually happy for you? Or are they all just waiting for the inevitable?" Daniel's hands curled into fists. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't. Because his father was right. Inside, Emily's world was imploding. First, it was Daniel's aunt and uncle, the first to stand up from their seats and quietly leave. Then a few more guests followed. By the time Daniel's mother stood, turned to her husband, and said loudly, "We should go. There's no wedding happening." Today, it was over. Like a domino effect, the exodus began. One by one, the guests left their seats and walked out. Emily watched, stunned, unable to move. Her big day, her perfect revenge, was slipping through her fingers and she couldn't stop it. She snapped. She threw the bouquet to the ground, storming through the estate, her heels clicking angrily against the polished floors. Daniel hadn't come back to the altar? Fine. She would find him. She spotted him by the fountain, standing in silence with his father. She marched straight to him, ignoring the stares from the last remaining guests. Her voice was loud and hysterical. "What the hell are you doing? Get inside!" Daniel turned slowly, his expression unreadable. Emily's breath hitched. He looked different, not uncertain, not guilty, just done. "Daniel," she tried again, this time softer. "I know this is overwhelming, but no, Emily," he cut her off, his voice calm and final. Emily's face twisted. "You don't mean that, Daniel." He exhaled, then took off his ring. "I do." And just like that, it was over. Emily stood there staring at the engagement ring in Daniel's open palm as if she couldn't comprehend what was happening. But I could, because this was inevitable. She had built her entire plan on winning, but this wasn't a game, and she wasn't the only player. Without another word, Daniel dropped the ring into the fountain, turned, and walked away. His family followed, his groomsmen followed, and finally, the few remaining guests left. Emily was alone, standing there in her stolen dress at her stolen wedding, with nothing left but the ruins of her own mistakes. And me? I simply watched, because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's letting people destroy themselves. As I walked away from the Magnolia estate, a sense of peace settled over me. Emily had wanted to outshine me. She had tried to take everything. But in the end, she had taken nothing. Because you can't steal what was never truly yours. And as for me, I didn't lose anything. I just let go of something that was never worth keeping. It's been a year since the wedding that never happened. A lot has changed. Emily disappeared from our social circles almost overnight. She went from the woman who had it all to the woman no one wanted to be associated with. At first, she tried to spin the story, telling people Daniel had had cold feet, that the pressure of a wedding was too much for him. But people knew the truth. They had seen the guest list. They had seen the empty chairs. They had seen her lose control in real time. And more importantly, they had seen me walk away with my dignity intact. As for Daniel, he reached out a few months later. It was a late-night message, the kind that drips with regret. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just need you to know you were right." I read the message and smiled, then deleted it, because closure doesn't come from hearing an apology. Closure comes from knowing you never needed one. I heard from mutual friends that Emily tried to rebuild her reputation. She started dating again, this time a wealthy older man, probably trying to secure a future she couldn't steal. But it didn't last. Because people like Emily always chase something they never catch. No amount of manipulation can make someone love you. No stolen venue, no stolen fiancé, no stolen wedding can give you what isn't meant for you. She had everything, for a moment, and now she had nothing. Looking back, I don't regret how it happened. I never had to scream. I never had to fight. I never had to stoop to her level. All I had to do was stay quiet and let her trap herself. Because the best revenge isn't ruining someone else's life. It's making sure they never had the power to ruin yours. And as for me, I walked away with exactly what I needed. My peace, my dignity, and a life infinitely better without them in it. Because while Emily was still chasing a fantasy, I was out there living my reality. And trust me, it's better than any stolen wedding.